guess I could just get this started now. Welcome everybody to our first gameplay development stream. I'm glad so many people showed up so fast. Quite a good experience to be here now. My name's Kenobi. If you go to our public Discord, you'll be able to find me as Ciara Kenobi. I am the technical director for Shadows of the Past, and today we're going to be doing some more work on our Archer class as we try to implement some more animations for him, and then we'll also be doing some server improvements so that our server browser works better for our testers who are able to get in and test it for us. So, the first thing we need to do is check our So this is pretty much if someone stands still for too long, we're going to have them play an animation and just kind of look over their shoulder and be a little uneasy maybe to add some inherent randomness. And this will be the first one. We have a number of these that we can do this with, but this will just be our first. So let's go ahead and here. And of course, this eventually will all have to run on this server, which right now it's only running on the server, it's not running on the client. So once we get this animation playing, that will be the first thing that we do, is to update that. So now let's create Actually, I don't even think we need this. We can just delay this further out. We're going to need a lot of room here. Delay, branch, make sure we're still idling. As long as we're still idling, we can go ahead and play our animation. That would be... We've named that something. It should be here. Play anim montage custom event. Then the one we want will be that one. Search idle and it should come right up. Float in range, let's say 1 to 5 seconds. Though actually for testing, let's just keep it to 1. And now after 1 second, it should play our little animation here. Of course, oh, it's spawning in multiple. That's why. Play it as a standalone. We're not testing multiplayer right now. He should be playing our animation any second now. No. Okay, so let's make sure we're even calling it. And we'll just do that. Miss the class specific idle event. get here, go ahead and make sure I know we're there. Yeah, it seems like we're not even running the code here. So finished, set that, and then delay. And our play in a montage doesn't seem to be what to be playing here. So we'll see if we can just get a print, and if not, the problem goes deeper. So as he relaxes, he'll put the bow closer, still a little drawn back, but we can see it is trying to play our animation. Montage to play. Oh, that is why it is not working. This is what we're looking for. I reckon if I do that, play rate start at 0. Make sure we get a print to make sure we know we're running it. We know we're running it, but the montage itself isn't playing. I assume that's why. I never actually assigned it to the correct slot. So we'll go ahead and assign its slot to the upper body, and now it will. Or it will not. Okay, so as the archer character calls this, we set our idling to false. We run it if idling is true. How about just skip the delay, and for now, just play it. We won't worry about any of you here. Relaxes. I could see the, and there's the hello right there. It's still not wanting to play our in a montage. Quite interesting. Mesh, montage to place, reposition. Must be something wrong if I go ahead and I find it. Default group, upper body, default slot, upper body. Well, what is your creator getting in the way of? Let's go to you. Yeah, it's idle 02 montage here. Quite interesting why it doesn't want to play it. This rather should have been the straightforward part. If I do that, let's make sure it's our string. Ah, look at that. Our string is still attached to the hand. So, let's make sure that when we call our class-specific idle event for the archer, that means see, the archer has to override this. We need to create one more little thing. The master character here doesn't have access to the same thing our archer does. So we're going to make sure that the archer calls it instead of the owner here. And we're just going to call this, since every class has to have access to this, class specific idle, I can spell it, anim, class specific idle anim. We should multicast this so all clients do it. idle anim. Perfect. Now we'll just Control C, and we'll take this to the archer. As the archer, we're gonna come over here, which this is poorly commented. We're just gonna override the parent here. We're gonna play our own. Now, no, it seems to not enjoy that as either. Let's make sure our animation blueprint's set up. Motion, upper body. Upper body, hold on. Use in this montage, all slots must be unique. Got it. Save. Okay. We're just gonna do a little thing here, and we're just going to get rid of this. Just going to force delete it. And we're just going to create a new one. The old one seems to have miscreated. So if we create a brand new one here, slot name, upper body. Save. There we go. Now he's not T-posing, and it's going to go into our proper slot. And of course, we don't need you. I seem to have closed the rest, which is fine. And then go to our archer, open up the archer character, class specific, and just have it use the idle again. This time it's not broken. Make sure we save, play, and wait. There we go. Nice little look over the shoulder. Of course, we need this to play other animations. Just playing the one time isn't very fun, I don't reckon. But it is good to see it working. So now every class can play its own specific one that it can override from the creator. Now we'll put this down since we know this is working. Save it and save it. We're going to CD save, always constantly be saving. And with that, we can delete our string. We know it's working. And we'll just pick out some other animations from this nice collection we have here. And these should take no more than 2 seconds to do. Okay, that one's good. Not sure how that one will apply, nor that one. But we can certainly at least grab 3, and then we'll check out 4 and 5. So, create animation montage. Perfect, and then we'll just go through all of them. And we'll put them all in the upper body slot. Upper body slot. And the upper body slot. And of course, we go back to them and they're good, and we're going to want to save these. Now we've made changes to them, so that pretty much acts as compiling when it comes to animations. And now when we play our class-specific idle animation, we shouldn't just be playing it like this. We should be doing something else. We should make, since we have so many, we're not going to get just one. We should make it an array. So we take this, promote to variable, or no, a better way of doing this. Since every class needs to have this same idea, every class needs to have idle animations. We'll convert you to animation montage, an object reference, make you an array, and now we can do a multiple. So if we get rid of you, compile, go ahead and make sure I named it right. Idle animations, that's right, I named it much better. Get idle animations. And of course we're going to have it override, but we're going to make sure random array item. This will pretty much just give us a random idle animation to play. And now of course we need to set this, and we have 4 idle animations. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 different idle animations. Compile. No questions about it. Play. And watch it play different ones, hopefully. So, of course, we should have this repeat. We're going to have a better way of making this repeat, but, of course, for now, this will have to do. Hopefully, Sprenny should still be in the chat and answering most of your questions. I know I haven't been looking at it at all. There we go. Every second, it should play a different idle animation. But we'll fix that in a moment. See all these different ones playing out once every second. And of course, 1 second is just a bit too fast for these. The minimum should be about 5, and the maximum should be about 15. Idling is false, it will of course exit, and it won't be playing these anymore. Be able to see. Now, these animations are nice, but they're playing a little too fast for someone who's trying to be relaxing. So, when it comes to that, we're just going to decrease the play rate, and we're just going to put it down to like 0.7. So his movements aren't so jerky. Sure, he can still do it while walking as well, and that doesn't cause any errors. And we can see him still looking around, even while he's walking. Got a little bit of clipping coming out of the arm there. You might want to fix that up a bit later. But for the general idea, it's not looking terrible. But what's going to happen here is when he's doing his nice little jog animation, if he tries to play it, he's going to act really weird. Because, of course, those animations aren't meant to be overlaid. These shouldn't be played while speed is too high. So we're going to be a little bit smarter about how we check for this. We need it to be idling, true, and we have a method of getting speed. I saved it somewhere, I'm sure. So I'm just going to go grab that code here. I'm just going to use it again. Make sure we use our and. If speed is less than, let's say, like 10. 10's an arbitrary number, pretty much moving at all, you'll trip that. So now it won't play these while he's walking, so we'll make sure they still play while he's standing. Yeah, there we go. Just a nice little slow down animation. Still maybe a little fast, we can decrease it a little. And we should also make it so that when he's sitting here, he holds his arrow. Yeah. Maybe just a little fast on those animations yet. So we will decrease how much to 0.55. Save it, and then of course when we also want to be basing how that arrow is showing up in the string. You can see when he's aimed here, that string is going right to his hand, and then he can draw it as he shoots every arrow. Should also mention we don't really have a working HUD right now. I have it hidden due to the fact that it's very temporary. So we just aren't worrying about that right now, but not to be worried, there is one in the works. But now when he enters his idle phase and he's like this, it shouldn't be attached, but if he's moving slower, he should be holding an arrow and holding that string and just kind of being at the ready rather than looking like he's holding nothing here. And we're going to base that off his speed. His walking speed, I believe, should be 150, and his run speed is 350, so if it's greater than, let's say, 160, let's go by an interval of 10 again, we should be showing that arrow. And the best way to do that is a little function called class-specific idle event. And I believe the archer should already have his. We'll check. Yes, here we go. This class-specific idle event is detaching the string and hiding the arrow, which is nice for the time being, but we can certainly do better than that. This is going to be a bit wonky, as idling and showing these based off speed without trying to drag down the game too much can cause some very interesting ideas to happen. With that said, we're going to go ahead and take this. The idle event is called so first thing we should do every time is make sure that we're still idling as the archer. Idling. If idling's ever false, we're just not going to touch this again. And then what we want to do is make another check. This will be pretty much to decide whether we're going to show it or not. So I believe I should still have, yes, my speed copied. If speed is less than 160, so if it's true, then we will set the visibility of the hand arrow to true. If it's less than, if it's greater than, we're going to go ahead and hide it. And then, of course, make a reroute node. And loop this back around. Move these in, they do not have to be so far apart. And then after this, we will do the string. Infinite loop detected. Of course, of course, of course. Every time we run this loop, we don't just want to run it an infinite amount of time every frame. So we're going to add in a little go to the next frame by adding in a delay of 0.01. This pretty much just tells it, go to the next frame. Don't run this on frame again. Thank you to Unreal for not crashing my computer and catching it. A lesser program would have just made the entire stream go up in smoke. I'm looking at you, Unity. Go ahead and wait for it, and look at that. The string is all messed up, but the hand arrow is correct. So now we just have to set that string to go to its correct position, just as the arrows are doing. And the best way I know to do that is by copying my old code. We're not going to worry about these, but we are going to worry about the string. The string is what matters, and that should be down here, I believe. Right here. So let's go ahead and get ourselves even more room, as this code is even more complicated. Even more room is going to be required. This pretty much just sets the string little location to be where I want it to be. So in this case, we're looking at it as the hand arrow is visible. So we want to set the string location that should be our default, I do believe. And we're going to see if this works. And U should be the location of the hand, which should be in the looped section, I do believe. It's the original setting, as long as it's true. We're just gonna go ahead and, as long as the hand arrow is visible, we're gonna delete this, because that's all wrong. And we're just gonna set it like this, which will set its location. I really don't need this reroute here. Go. Bit less complicated than it originally looked, and that should take care of the string. String is to the bow. We do this, and it's now being set to the hand. Looks good. I'm just now seeing the comment about the mic being bad. I'm sorry. I do not have a dedicated microphone. It is pretty much built into my camera. So I am sorry for its very poor quality. But yeah. As you can see, it's showing and hiding it. Maybe I could hide it a little bit sooner. I could hide it closer to about 151, give us a little bit more speed. Now, the number one problem with this is how the arrow is moving. It's not really setting on the bow, so we might have to do some complicated trigonometry here. Yes, you do actually use trig. I sadly had to use physics earlier on code I just did not want to do, and I can show that here without an aiming reticle. The archer does have an aiming reticle to help you aim, but you can see I had to use physics to figure out which way he's being shot from without making it too performance heavy. So yes, ragdolls do interact with you once they're dead, and then they'll despawn after a minute. But next we gotta figure out how to set the location of that arrow. Well, I guess not the location, I don't believe. The location, as we can see, is rooted in the hand. We need to figure out its rotation. That will set it in this little socket here and put it just next to the bow. And that. What's the best way to do that? Might be something best saved for later. That might take me a little bit to figure out the math on that, as neither this nor this have collision. It helps with optimization and hit detecting. Believe it or not, in an early version, if an arrow was fired and it hit the bow, it would hit the bow and still do damage to the player. Not exactly ideal with what we're looking for. Someone mentioned the Rohan and the Lothlorien bow, I just noticed. I will say, even the Uruk is using the Lothlorien bow at the same size, and this is a complete placeholder. He's using the same arrow, bow, and a model that just doesn't work with our current rig. So he looks a large bit deformed, and even the Rohan soldier will be replaced, and him given a proper bow and arrow. So a lot of things are placeholder here. You can see even the classes themselves have the default Unreal thing, as there's nothing to display there. And even the Uruk models here are being replaced currently by our talented modelers and texturers. We could not be doing this without them. With that said, I think I will have to come back to that. That math is going to take me a while to figure out. And we can look at this little sheet here. Different, more relaxed archer idle animations. These are all done, so I can put these in the patch of to be determined. And here, for you who want to pause the video, I guess, you can look at everything that we've done so far, bugs that have still yet to be fixed, and features that have still yet to be done. These are not all of the features that we have planned. This is like looking a week, maybe two in advance. And there's more already written down that aren't even on here yet. So now that that's done, we can delete it. Oopsies. Did it again. Persistent on scoreboard, we'll get back to that. Don't need to do you. Archer drop bow on death. This is going to be a fun one to do. So right now, when the archer dies, I can show this off. When the archer dies, he'll just keep his bow in his hand and act like it is just not a big deal. And he's just death gripping the bow, and it's like clipping through him, and it's not really, even the string is still attached to the hand there. It is not exactly what we're looking for here, as Unreal is now deciding to compile shaders on me. Never had that do that at runtime before. It's an interesting thing. But we'll comment this as set. Okay, I need to see what I'm typing here. Set bow in idle. Come back to fix arrow. I will say the document for those coders out here, the documentation is quite bare bones on this. So far I'm the only one looking at it, and we're just still early on, so much is being changed. They haven't found the time to really comment on it, but we're kind of hitting that phase where people like Simon, our sound person, are actively working on the same code, so it's now pertinent that I keep these well documented and clean, so that anybody can come in and do what they need to do. And with that done, we are gonna have to have a little fun here. So if we go to our characters, our archer class, we'll go to our arrow management, and we will. Actually, I think I know a better way of doing this. We have a death event, class-specific death event. On the archers, we can create. I don't think it's just going to let me create a physics object from a character. Yeah, it's not going to let me do that. So instead of adding that inheritance, I feel the best way to do this is to create a new actor class and just call it static bow. I can stop holding the shift key. Try physics. And the reason I'm naming it this is because we may want to do some code with it later. So that's the reason I'm making it an actor, so it can own code rather than just spawning in a physics actor. With this, we're going to go ahead and grab this, the archer character. Give me your posable mesh bow. And where is your static mesh? This is an odd one. View skeletal asset. There it is. Point me towards it. I'm going to have to split the screens here for just a second while I put, not you, but the physics asset. Actually, no, let's do you. And we're going to have you be the root. And we're just going to call you SKM Elvish Bow. And then we're probably going to have to move you around a little, but collision, no collision, block all, don't generate overlap or any other collision events. Other than that, simulate physics, enable gravity. Rest of this looks good. Unreal does a good job of setting a lot of these up for you. And these should already have a built-in physics thing, given its given that it's the skeletal mesh. And the mesh itself, if I open it up here, which I can open up the mesh. And if I open up the mesh, it's going to say, here's your physics asset for it. And it has 3 little points of interest, and that should be fine. I don't see a problem with this. If it hits here, it'll hit here. If it becomes a problem, of course, we can come in and add and modify and do everything we need in here, but I don't see that being a problem for now. Don't need you, and we shouldn't need any of you either, I imagine, for now. I can keep this quite open, and I can keep it like this. Is the arrow? I don't know how this has happened, but the arrow has been moved from the hand. Luckily, we'll set you to use animation asset. And now that that's not playing, you can try and modify this a little bit more to fix it up now that we've moved it. And that looks good. Set you back to using your animation blueprint, and you're all fixed up. Save and compile. Static bow physics. So on the archer's death, we go here, create actor from class bow, static bow physics. spawn transform, posable mesh bow. We're going to get it and get its world transform. And we're going to use that as the spawn transform. Collision handling, try to adjust location, spawn if still colliding. Instigator does not matter. And yeah, that should fix that. Get this little fella here to kill me. If you can stop missing. If he can stop missing, there we go. Oh, finished it off with an arm shot. Brutal. He's dropped the bow. But the problem with it is this bow is still visible. So we're going to do one thing. Set visibility. New visibility false. Ooh, okay, my bad. New visibility false. Compile and save as is the ritual. Pause, inject, and I'm going to want to see how this bow spawns here. There we go. It looks like it spawned in the exact same spot. As it falls, hits the ground, and does its physics part perfectly. The only thing I'm noticing here is the physics are a little too big. It's hovering off the ground. We're going to want to fix that up the same way I showed you earlier, is these little buddies. We can, well, among many things, modify their size. So if we bring down the size to match that of the bows, just a little extra for leeway, save and play. Bring it on over here to die to another AI. Ooh, a headshot. As you can see, I guess I'll also take this minute. When I was facing to the left, he put an arrow in my head. And headshots do double damage, and you can see it is sticking through me quite well. They normally don't embed themselves so well. You can see there, he's just hit him in the bracer, displayed the hit react, and the arrow is just sitting inside of him. This AI can just hit us. Hit him in the chest this time, he reacts. He gets hit again to the chest, drops the bow, bow hits the ground, and does its physics perfectly. It's not perfectly sitting on the ground, but I wonder if it's even noticeable. Actually, it looks like it is, and look at that, Unreal is deciding to compile shaders on me again. I think I know why it's doing that now. That'll be a problem for another day, but a good one to know. So we'll decrease that and try and take it the other way. Oh wow, just a headshot immediately. One body shot and double headshots. Brutal. These AI, I will say right now, are a bit strong, as our testers have reported. They can be a bit deadly accurate and are known for 180 no-scoping, better than some of the best professional gamers in the world. And save it again, and we'll run it one last time, and this should be good. And then at that point, we'll have to work on spawning in the arrow next. As he crumbles like a piece of paper, the bow is hitting the ground, it's tipping down, it hits, it bounces, and sits. I think I can get that just a tiny bit smaller, or it looks like it might be sitting on the ground perfectly. So we will leave that as is. I was curious, this is a very temporary UI that you might see pop up when it tries to respawn me, but since I'm not possessing it, it's not going to let me. And of course, this will let you join servers and choose maps to load and stuff like that. So right now we don't really care about any of that. We're just going to do our arrow next. Static bow physics, and now we're going to do the exact same thing for our arrow. The archer arrow management. You see we already have an arrow static. This is something that is created anytime a wall or a player is hit. This is the exact same arrow that embeds itself into anybody that gets hit. Oh wow, that one just went right through the wrist. You can see even the AI will play idle animations as well. Even though I only coded it for this one, we should be able to see him play his random idle looking around animations. Despite the fact the animations don't really work because they don't have the same skeleton, this will be fine. And it's nice to see that it's working for all of them. So in the future, we can just go into him, give him custom animations, and he can have different idle animations from even what the elf is having right now. Which is perfect. It's exactly what we want. See him looking around as he's moving, as he started the idle animation before he started moving. That might be something to look into as well. But for now, we're just going to create a new actor again. Let's call this static underscore arrow underscore phy yeah. Static arrow physics. Go ahead and grab the wrong one. Go ahead and grab the arrow static. Grab its mesh. There we go. Grab its mesh. Drag it into our viewport. Set it as the root and compile. Now, if you noticed, our bow was facing the other way here. So we may want to do that as well. So we're not going to make it the root, I suppose. We can try it like this first, but normally, it's trying to simulate physics on something that isn't the root of the actor, isn't well liked. As you can see, it's not even letting us do the physics. So we may have to modify the spawn transform. If I can spell it. Still doesn't want to simulate physics. That is an odd one. Ah, I believe I know why. Custom. We want to block all. And query in physics. Cool. It still doesn't. That is an odd one indeed. Why it doesn't want us to do that. Wrong one. We don't want to see the warrior class. It's not very complete yet. Go back to the bow. Wrong one. Go back to the bow and see why there might be a difference here. Oh, actually, that's exactly why there's a difference. It's because I loaded the wrong arrow. This arrow, if we go to it, we'll see, has no physics actor like the bow did. And that's going to cause many problems, such as not being able to have its physics. That being said, I think this one may go to our modelers as something that we need. So I'm going to make a quick mark on that right now in my bug sheet. As we need a physics arrow assets. I have the ability to create it, but I believe someone creating it not as a static mesh would be able to do a better job than I would, as that is not specifically my specialty. With that being done, we're going to keep this up here, but we're going to mark this preemptively as done. Jumping the gun just a little bit here. the Archer AI rework. We'll get to that in 1 second. The AI currently are a bit expensive on the computer. They run a bit harder than we want them to be. They are causing huge performance issues, and I can actually show you why. We go to our character, our Archer class, our Archer AI, and our Archer character AI. They run all of the code they have on the server every single frame. All of this, which is also referencing all of this, which is also referencing all of this. And that's a lot to run everything on the server, since it's being just hosted by someone on their home Wi-Fi. So we're going to want to make this better. Not only optimize it, but we're going to want to make them smarter too, as right now they're only just running towards points and attacking whoever gets in their way. So we want to add stopping to fight, reacting to changing flag point. Let's say a flag gets captured behind them that they just walked away from. We're going to want them to turn around and go back to that flag and react to more of a dynamic battlefield. And this exact idea, if done right, will of course go to the later AI classes such as the Warrior, which will be the class coming after the Archer. They'll prefer closer flags. Right now they just get any flag that they don't currently own and run towards it. We're going to want them to go to maybe a flag that's closer and not run halfway across the map. And then once they stop to fight, they should also find a flag again and lose it. And that's what's going to be happening. But first, right now, we have one other issue that needs addressed. Which is our UI server browser. Big problem with this is when trying to host a session, here we go, it doesn't like that it's being created on this. And there's two ways that we can do this. We can do this on the game instance, which is pretty much something that is the game itself. It's like the essence. If the game instance dies, the game itself dies. The moment the game is launched, the moment the game is deleted, the game instance is always running. So, there's one other way that we can do this. I wonder if I have the ability to collapse it to a function. Perfect. What that's going to mean is we're going to do this. We're going to copy this code, and we know the only thing that has access to this, at least right now, is combat prototype, game mode managers, conquest, team select pawn. And we're going to create you, collapse to function, collapse to function failed, create advanced session. Alright, we'll create you a custom event then, called host, CSSION, host session. All the data for the server still exists. LAN, we should hide that. Our LAN should be there. This value should be named REGION, as it will feed the region into the server browser. Anything else? End session button. And then, of course, last but not least, the level select. Okay, now when we press this, we should already have a reference to it, but it looks like we don't. When we create it, oh, we should be owner. Aha! I had enough foresight to know to do that. Go ahead and delete the code here. And then host session and feed it those values that we know it would want, which is why we assign them. Go ahead and make this huge comment smaller. Level select. It wants the end session button. And it wants the region value. it wants one last thing. It wants LAN, which pretty much tells it whether it's being hosted in LAN mode or in network mode. And now, it needs to do test game mode of Lothlorien, but we're going to make it team select pawn. Save all, save, play. Join, back, map, selecting map works, play will allow us to play, set a region, and then click host. Looks like I restarted the server. Should get this to pop up again. The UI hides itself, and we're just left to play, end session, and quit, which end session was not visible earlier if you would have noticed. Now we hit play, allows us to play, type 1 and join good or evil. This is pretty much just a nice little stand-in to having the class select right now, as we are still waiting on some artwork for that. But once that's all good to go, we'll have all that set up and ready to play, and it will spawn me at a good command point. And you can see the UI right here. Like I said before, everything here is not only subject to change, it will. There's already artwork that is being done, and other UI work that is being done for it as well, and you can see a temporary reticle. You will be able to select one from like 10 or 11 reticles, your favorite, so you're not stuck with the one we have. And you can even make it smaller or bigger in the future. That said, it looks like that should be working now, as where it wasn't before. It's hard for me to show on this, as it's currently running through Steam subsystems, but it is working, or at least it should be. I'll have to run this through with testers later, so that is my note to do that. And with that being done, we know that I fixed that. Did I put that down as a bug? I don't think I just knew I had to fix it, as it's what also was part of I must have not put it on here, or I did actually. I did it. Temporary server browser. Same patch. So yeah, I just looked too far down. This is a patch down the line. I just put random words beneath. Go ahead and ignore those. So, with that being done, we now have our Archer AI rework. This is, I'm not sure how interesting this would be to watch. So we can also look at the hovering health bar. But I will leave that to one of our other many talented people that we have on our staff, I guess we'll call it. This persistent AI and scoreboard, this will allow AI and players to keep track of their stats, kills, and other things such as that. And it will also serve as a scoreboard, so that if you look at, like, if you put a bunch against an AI, you can see, like, the AI will have a lore accurate name thanks to our lore masters on the team, as I guess I will call them. So this will also be waiting until we get those names, and we are quite close to that. So I guess the only thing left to do is this, the Archer AI rework. And now the question arises of the best way to approach this. Lothlorien Archer, save all. Go ahead and open up our game instance, and we're going to want to tell it to spawn 2 AI. So it'll spawn 1 good and 1 evil as it automatically distributes. Master Combat, don't worry about him, worry about you. Static Biophysics, you're all good. We'll have to come back to you, so I'll leave you open. Now, the best way to do this, I think for now, we'll run it all on the server, and of course we're going to want to keep you. And we're going to want to make sure we're not dead. Yeah, that is that's definitely a requirement. Now, we'll keep this as a reference back. It's the reason we have these variables down here, and other such things. So, I should create comment from selection as old AI code. And I had caps lock on. Old AI code. Expand it a little. Make it comfortable. And we'll do a new one. Now, flag points. Every time we find a flag point, we should do a flag points, flags to move to, flag points. So we have all of our flag points stored, which is nice, and those will update automatically via the capture points. They send information to the AIs to tell them to update their code. So if dead is false, we will we'll just use a standard for loop as well, no, let's do a for each loop. And we're going to be a lot smarter with how we store our data. So first, the AI needs to have a flag to go to. And we can look at our flag points, and we can say plug that in for each of the flag points that exists. You're going to want to find one. That is the wrong area. You're going to want to find this. This code is fine. This pretty much checks that it's not owned by the same team, nor is it currently neutral. And then if it's true, it'll add it to the flags to move to, which of course we should clear flags to move to. Flags to move to, clear. Which pretty much removes all flags that could have been there previously. Now right now this is going to run every single frame. We don't want them to find a new flag every frame. So we're going to do one more branch, which pretty much just checks that going after flag is false. And then we don't just want to store it in flags to move to. We're going to be a lot smarter about how we store that data. Flags to move to will be a map. So instead of just storing straight values, we'll also store our distance to each flag in the shape of a float. We'll let all that get changed. Clear. Of course, we're going to need a new clear because we're not clearing an array anymore. We're clearing a map. It's a bit more complicated data type, but it's much more powerful, and it's going to allow them to be a bit smarter with how they choose it. If all of this comes out as true, yeah, we can ignore that error. If all of this comes out to be true, then we can take you, add, and we can add this with a get distance to target is always self, and the other actor should be the flag. So now when it does it, true, completed, set going after flag to true, and then we'll just print string, actually, for each loop. Yeah, gonna let me, but I should be able to see, our length does still work on maps. I know Java prefers size when it comes to stuff like this. So we're gonna go ahead and get the length. We're just gonna feed this to a for loop. Thank God Sprinty is still here managing the chat for me. I don't think I've looked at it for most of this stream. And I did a for each loop again. That's what I get for looking at the chat for just 1 second. So length minus 1. We gotta type that in here though. And then so loop body print you get it's not gonna let me get a copy, is it? No, flags to move to. What is the best way to do this? Get our flag points. Game, no, we want variables. Map. Find keys, length, remove values. Values. That's actually just going to be a much better way to do that. I didn't know Unreal had that functionality. Unreal has some fantastic libraries that are just built in directly into it, and they save me so much time and energy. So thank you to Epic for making it so easy for me. We're going to go ahead and hit play. We can see values being printed. Of course, while we're printing this, we're only going to want to have one AI. Having multiple is just going to make those prints quite confusing. Make the prints stay around for a bit longer, and we'll look at it again. So, good AI spawns. It found 2 valid flags. Makes sense. Neutral and evil. One is 681. One is 1837. I'd assume this is the 1837. This is the 861. So, while we have you, we're going to want to take this array and make it an actual array in order from decreasing to increasing the values. And so I don't believe there is a way to sort. But we can check it. Array, operators, add, divide, greater than, multiply, not equal, subtract, set, structure, array, add, unique, clear, contains, find, get, copy, reference, insert, identical. Reverse, set array items, shuffle, swap array elements. No. Keep on looking at the wrong things here. Utility, map. I can also get the keys. But no, none of this just automatically sorts it on its own. So we're going to have to sort for them. Best way to sort these. There's a number of ways to sort things by number. Those of you who've done computer science know there's many methods for doing it, but I might come up with my own here. So we have all of our values. Doesn't even use that, so values, it's just going to do that. If I get keys, each of these. We can compare and place one by one and move around. I don't believe Unreal has... No, it doesn't. I was wondering if it had queues built in. A queue would be quite nice, but if we check sets on the Unreal Engine, Unreal Engine should explain how they do their sets. I don't believe set. So if I do a map of sets, keep the values, keep the keys, and then just reorganize it. So I can rename you as possible flags to move to. We're just going to duplicate you as flags to move to, which this will be the sorted sets. I don't want to go through all of these. Whoa. Don't look at this. That's Unreal Engine stuff. It's even Epic likes to use blueprints. That being said, the best way to do this is for each loop for each of these in the array. Keys. We get the keys and the values for each key. Well, for each key, we're going to check not contains. We want to get find, because then it's going to ask for a key input, and it's going to return this, as well as whether it exists. Which is helpful, but not to us right now. We're going to want to convert this to an array. So for each key, we're going to want to make it a set. Okay, let's convert you to a set of actors. Get and add. Just noticed our music stopped. Sorry about that, folks. They must have been stopped for a while ago. I'm not great about checking things such as that. Let me know if the volume is okay for you guys. I will try and keep checking it now. Operators, not operators, set. Clear item contains difference. Intersection is empty. Length, remove items to array. Well, yes, it would be quite helpful. Great. No, I have a much better way of doing this. So we have you, we have our values. And then we're going to do a while loop. While, and we're just going to length, while that value is greater than 0, we're just going to want to, we're going to make you we're going to make you a map again, is what we're going to do. Make you float. We're going to want to get keys as well, so we're going to want to use those to translate to the next map. But as far as adding goes, we're going to want to float array. I almost forgot this existed. Again, thanks be to Unreal for creating all of these things. Remove index from this, and just add it by doing right. Get a copy should work as long as I also take you. Utilities map keys length, find value based off the key, or find the key based off the value. I believe that should be possible. Contains find as empty keys length remove values. Does not seem to be possible. So, with that, we don't just want, actually, we can't reverse search using, because that's not how a map works. But if we have this, we get you, what we're looking for is a value that we just add every time. Of course, we're not going to want to make this a map, are we? We need this to be... Well, let's see. How... Present and map. These should still return in numerical order, I do believe. And as long as it's going by order of which it's added, then we should just be able didn't want to delete that. We should just be able to get this, and we're just going to want to promote you as a flag, C-O-U-N, as a flag counter. At the end, flag counter. Actually, I should just get flag counter plus plus. AIs require rather complicated sets of values to make sure they are as smart as I would like them to be. But of course, we should also, since we're going to be running this multiple times, we're going to want to start our flag counter to 0 before we run this. And then completed, move 2. We're going to want to get you values. Nope. Each loop. Gotten so big, we're starting to touch the old code. Go ahead and move this up. As far as sticking to the books or movies map-wise, that is going to be mainly up to Gabe's discretion. He is our main map creator and art person like that. And we're kind of going for a mix of both. If you look at Helm's Deep, you can go find the public demo we released like last year, and you can play it and see how well it lines up with the movie, since it's a bit easier to see that instead. So to put it simply, I believe that we're mainly going to be going off the movies, but we of course will still be referencing the books. And there's our print. Too short to read. Okay. Got you. But of course, we should test this on another level. Should make the details owned by good, false, neutral, true, ownership 0. Just make a number of these so that you can print all of them. And I believe 5 is going to be our max command point limit. You can see here, it is going up in order of distance, which is perfect. It is exactly how we want it. So now, we need to add some randomization. We shouldn't always be going to the same close one, or every AI will go to the same flag every time. So we're just going to say a for each loop of the values of flags to move to. For each of these, no, we should be doing, well, we're going to need the keys as well. Keys correspond to the values, again in the same order as well. Sorry about that, my dog can be a bit of a rascal sometimes, and I might just have to mute if he sees a biker he doesn't like. With that being done, we have each of these, and we should just do a branch greater than, and we're just going to pretty much make this a random chance that he selects it. So if rand int is greater than, we can say like less than half, or yeah, less than half a chance of 6. If it goes from 0, well, on a scale from 1 to 10, it's above 6. We don't need the values, we just need the keys. And if it's true, AI move to get world get world. Offset get world transform. Doesn't let me just get that since it has to enumerate it in a certain way, it looks like. So we'll just do that. Split out transform location. Yeah, I figured. You, what's your second value? You're an actor. So get actor location. That's what we're looking for. I'm going to tell him to move to that once. Acceptance radius of about 50. The AI old had a neat way of feeding it so that they wouldn't just try to run towards the center. Because right now they'll always run towards the center bit, and we don't want that. We want them to find a random spot within the points, which is why we're going to do this. X, Y, and Z. An acceptance radius of 50. I'm going to keep using this code because I know it works, and it works well. That's why I kept the old code, is because certain things will be worth keeping. That being done, on success you can say, well, of course we're going to want to interrupt that at a certain point, and right. We'll look for nav mesh bounds volume. We use this. So this pretty much tells the AI that he's allowed to move around. We'll spawn in, and he'll fail to move anywhere. Should have known that was going to happen. Each with break. Should have done this as well. I don't think this is the problem, but it'll fix another problem down the line, which is it just keep on going around. So, sorry, that's incorrect. Should we go into the break? This should also be letting me know this code is being run. Hello. Nice. Code is being run, but it's not liking it. So we'll append it, and we'll get our X and our Y, and we'll print out where he's trying to move to. Looks good to me. So the question now must be asked, why isn't he moving? And mesh bounds volume should give him all the movement he wants. Maybe it's something wrong with how I'm baking the map. That can of course be it, and if that's the case, we'll go back to my own normal test level, hit play, of which he is still declining to move. Interesting. Oh, yes, of course that pawn should always reference self because you can tell other AI to move from the character in Unreal. Quite helpful. Okay, we'll go back to the other test level. We'll tell the game to spawn in a bunch of AI. We'll say about 10. We'll try to spawn in 5 evil. That'll fail, so we'll get 5 good AI. See them prefer the one that's closest to them. If they spawn over here, they may want something else different, so we'll decrease the spawning radius on this. Put it over here and watch them pick. Seems that 3 preferred the closest, 4 preferred the closest one, and are capturing it. Or already have captured it. Well, this one went to that one. We can run it again. We made an AI that just didn't move. Oh wow, they are all preferring further ones this time. But having an AI fail to move is not good at all. Run it again. Didn't happen again. I'd be rather interested to see what happened in his code. Now they're not picking that first one at all. I wonder if that's just dumb luck. Or what may be happening. Maybe we should set a bit of a higher bias for them to pick earlier ones. We'll set it to 4. Make them quite likely to pick those closer flags. And they're still not liking that at all. They're still picking these flags that are just so far away. The value is greater than 1, which is like a 9 in 10 chance it is. Yeah. So the bias is working. We just have to set it higher, I guess. Set it to 3. And it looks like, wow, even 1 went for like the farthest flag. Well, it's nice to know that we can have outliers, but they do, of course, we can see, prefer these closer flags. But I'm thinking that's just a little too heavy now. So we'll compile, save, and that should be good. Of course, we can modify this later, depending how the testing for it goes. So we don't need that anymore. We just need to break. So now, when this happens, they also need to be able to find players. In the course of them looking for their flags, set going after flag to false. On fail, do the same. I believe I did something similar down here. Oh, of course. We're gonna need this. First and foremost. This code pretty much makes it so they don't leave the flag. So going after flag is still true, which we don't need to set. That's different. Going after flag is false. On success and on fail, I believe, should also be going down there. On fail, that makes a lot more sense. And then on success. Okay, yes, this looks good actually. I like this a lot. Active flag is a pointless gesture. Instead be, of course, so because of how I stored it, we need to do one last thing. On success, cast to flag. From here we can get all that info using that. Try and check the cap again, the very snappy animation. Yeah, the AI do stop a bit hard, I will admit. Of course, the AI also knows to sprint now. If they're going to a flag that's so far away, wow, they really chose the faraway flags this time. But yes, they do stop rather hard once they get there. Talks about working on something where they'll slow down when they get to the objective. It'll kind of, you know, be a more natural stop. But for now, we want them. Ooh, wow. Yeah. They are unsure of what to do. They got here and it's still there. Access none. Branch. I'm trying to read this, because this is returning nothing because of when we're setting it. So we need to do a better job of setting it. Okay, so cast to flag point. If the flag is selected, cast to the flag point. Using that, and then set active flag. And then you guys can go ahead and get the active flag now that we know what it is. Go. Look at that, they're all sprinting, and man, they are preferring those faraway flags. That is interesting, whether that's sheer dumb luck or whatever is going on there. Still obviously running into some errors with identifying a flag that's on the same side as them. They're still obviously choosing flags that they shouldn't be. And the reason for that is quite actually simple. The minute we are going after this, we're setting possible flags to move to, but we're not getting flags to move to and clearing it as well. Every time they try and move, all the old flags still exist. And if I get the active flag, I should be able to. Well, actually, might as well just let the active flag stay as is. Considering anytime we'll do it, we'll set it anyways. That should fix their stuttering. See, if they're going after a closer one, they won't sprint, but if they're going further away, they will. They've captured this one, found a new flag, and are sprinting towards it now. He seems to be having some trouble, but as they capture that, you can see he gets to the flag, and he doesn't know what to do. It's now been captured before he even got there. So, we want to do a little check. A different check, I should say. As they press sprint, they have their active flag. If it's last owned by good is equal to their own side, this is pretty much checking that they are going after a flag that's not the exact same as their team, so they won't go after good flags. But what needs to happen is, if they're on their way to a flag and it gets captured, they need to find a new flag to go after. And then, of course, they'll also have to be able to react to a flag of their own being captured. But for now, we'll just make it so that if it's the same flag, it gets captured. And conquest flag point. And see the code they have in store. What happens when they get captured is they set themselves to neutral, and then they set owned by good. Owned by good. Now, neutral, you should be setting your neutral to false, owned by good to true. So neutral is not. To true and owned by good, which should be true, is equal to their own is good, which is true. And then it's all true, and you can set going after flag to false, and we'll run this again as we clear our old flags. And set a new one. And of course, there's always that one AI who just doesn't figure out how to move. It's rather interesting to see what their code might be doing. Capture this, and then they go there. Of course, they keep on having this error where they just sit here. So let's go ahead and diagnose these two AI. Get rid of the AI that are working, and we'll be left with the AI that aren't. This one is AI2. Spawned and selected. You're stuck at going after flag is true, but you never actually moved. Let's see about the other one. Exact same code. So somewhere they're exiting, and they're not setting going after flag. So if none of these happen, so if you, or I get a feeling they might be running through every flag, and they haven't picked one yet, at which point they should be getting just one if the array index is equal to the length. If that's true, then just go ahead and do it. And that should stop them from pausing around. And again, they are preferring these faraway flags. I will decrease that again. Put it back down to 3. I'd rather have them overly go to the close ones than overly go to the far ones. But man, do they prefer the far ones. But he seems to be running into some errors. Look at that. They are all just going to the far one every time. Which is a statistical anomaly, to say the least. They're all going to the farthest one. And that's why. Because when we do this, we're not breaking it. So we do need to break it. That should fix it. And now they will prefer those closer flags. One made it all the way out there, though. And of course, he found a faraway flag, so we still have other people. And the combat should become more diverse. They all made it to the flag, but they didn't make it there in time. And now, let's see where your code's at. He's stuck as well. Seems he never set going after flag to false. sprint press. And then if it fails, it'll just set to false if it's on that. But we should be entering that anyways. That should add their reaction. Okay, flag point changed, and he seemed to change, but you didn't. The person on their way there managed to change their mind fast enough. But we still have some stragglers who are just not setting their flag to false. When in reality, I don't see a way you could. False do nothing, or if it's the length, index 0, and of course the length, it's the wrong button, needs to be subtracted by 1. That should fix that properly this time. As that flag gets captured, ooh, hold on. Prime target to figure out what is going wrong here in his brain. Seems he's setting this every frame. That is quite the interesting thing to see him not be able to select a flag. It's weird as we play it. You can see he's going through all of this, setting it to false, but it seems he might be failing to reach it, or at least calling it early at least. He goes through here and he sees that the flag he's chosen is not. Means that this might be different. Or neutral is true. Well, he's already picked it, so he knows it's neutral, which means it hasn't been fully capped, so he's trying to move there. But now he's getting here, and it's not. Is it owned by good? No. Is it? So that's true, and neutral, which is true, not, which becomes false and resets it. So it should be fine to be neutral, unless I'm not thinking hard enough. As I cap this, nothing happens. We can check on him. Okay, so which means is that this should be an and, this should be an or neutral is true. Cool. And that's why, because once they set neutral to false, well, let's see, let's say it's they're capturing a flag and it's neutral, but now neutral is false, it's not, which is true, which means he's setting that, so it should be that. If neutral is true, then it should be not, it should be. Yeah, okay, run that. quite a number, choosing the further away flags. So the first flag here gets done, and they move to go to this one. And that one gets done, but they don't know what to do with themselves. They seem to be stuck in a loop of perpetually setting that. A little bit odd. The flag is beaten. And let's say owned by Goes to Go Theirs. That's true. They set going after flag. But then going after flag and stop. Okay, that's what's happening. They're getting overriding ideas, so I need to stop movement immediately. This should stop that. Which is also what we use to make them stop and choose new ways to kind of fight, so that they will be able to kite characters instead of just running only to flags. But right now, we're just trying to get this down. As they all go to the same flags. Wow, that was wild how well those lined up for me to not be able to see what was happening. First flag capped. They're going to go to the second one now. And they're going to cap that. They're going to go to the next one. Finish capping that. Oh, wow, yeah. They turned around perfectly. But they're pathing. They don't seem to be getting enough in the zone. It should be a bit closer in. Either that or they finished capping it, so they just stopped going after it. At which point is perfect. They're reacting to changing flags. And when they got here, they said there's no more flags to go after. We can just chill out. So this will be their flag movement. This will dictate how they moved flags, when they're done moving the flags, and everything that we've done so far with this. They're already much smarter than just what this was. This code used to be a lot simpler as we made it a lot more complicated to make them a bit smarter. That being said, we're entering the second hour here. So I'll be wrapping up in about half an hour here to try and keep this stream to 2.5 hours. That being said, we should start working on what happens when they see an enemy. Let's see how I used to do it. Active enemy. Smart. So, dead false, going after flag. Once it's true, and you've set that, then set going. Set attacking enemy to false. Well, actually, we don't even need to do that, but let's say we're going after a flag and we find an enemy. We want to make sure going after flag is true and attacking enemy is false. Perfect. And as we come up here, we're not really going to do that. We're just going to run a piece of code. That's going to run through all the characters. And make possible enemies. And we're going to grab a random possible enemy. keep it as random as possible. Don't worry about what's down here yet. We just want to worry about setting enemies, which this code was redone recently and I know is good to go. So with that being done, we're keeping these in multiple branches in case we want to add more ideas to it later. But now we have our possible enemies. So now we just want to get a more possible enemy and make it random. Possible enemies, random array item. And let's see, we did this before. We checked if it was valid. We said if it was true, we said it's the active enemy. But of course, we're going to want to do something a bit smarter than that. We're not only going to want to check for it is valid, which we are, but we also want to check. So set active enemy to this. And the reason we're doing that is because if we called this same thing, it just wouldn't work because it would choose another random enemy. We don't want that to happen. So now that we have this, we're going to want to make a branch, and we're going to want to make sure every single time this is run through, since this will be our main starting point, we want to make sure that they're not going to be stuff like dead and stuff. But the moment this is valid and we set an active enemy, we're going to want to, of course, grab this and just stop our movements. We're no longer going to be moving to a flag, we're going to be moving to attack an enemy. Then, if active enemy dead is false, we're going to want to take that same idea of set actor rotation. I've already done the math for myself. Right, of course, we're going to want to check for sight. Sight, make sure we can still see them and that they're not through a wall. This is a little macro I wrote that pretty much just checks whether we can still see the enemy we're going after. And if true, we'll set our actor rotation to be able to go after him. And then this. This is important because this is our bloom. Without this, the AI would hit you every single time they fired an arrow. And with that, we're actually going to promote these. Variable. Low is low aim. Because this is also how we're going to set difficulty later. So now we can just modify these. 30, negative 35, 35, and then go all the way down to 15, and take this up to 85. That's going to give them a lot of bloom, and I feel like it's going to make them not accurate enough, but it's honestly better than them just beaming you. Something we might want to do as well as checking for sight is that they are also not directly behind us, so that if you just show up behind them, they don't just turn around and immediately headshot you. We're going to want to avoid that. But that can be something that comes later. For now, let's make sure we can get them to fire. So now we're just going to call a little standard attack button. This is what I believe I called it. Right, they should also aim. Yeah, that's actually rather good code. I do like a decent amount of this. Standard sequence. Want to do once. Aiming press, and we've set an attacking enemy. And then now that we've said we're attacking an enemy, and we're aiming at him, and we're looking at him, we're gonna do that. But we're not gonna try and run this every frame like we were before. So if can shoot is false, we're going to do a little delay. 0.01, try and keep this a bit more in-house. Standard attack button. And then a 1 in 3 chance, we just set attacking enemy to false. And aiming release. Which means he won't be locked on to enemies in combat, which is why we're doing this. This will pretty much clear that. So now we'll take it back to the test level so that multiple AI types can spawn in. Save all. Yeah, everything is up to date. You had a slight delay from when they select you as a target and fire. Yes, actually, that's a beautiful idea, Samuel. I didn't think of that. It looks like he is finding his enemy and is not knowing what to do about it, which makes sense, actually. One hook you. So once they have you in sight, set the rotation. We can add the delay in before the rotation. They shouldn't just be able to turn around, which is a great idea to do. I don't know how long it's been there, but I like that a lot, actually. And float in range on a minimum from, let's say, 0.2 seconds to acquire to a full second to acquire. Or actually, we can boost it us up to 1.3. Actually, let's do that after we do this. So that Celebrant, okay. That makes more sense. Welcome Celebrant, welcome to the stream. This is what I get lost in. But yeah, here is your delay. From 0.2 to 1.3, let me know if that sounds good. I am fully aware that some people may not like it, some people may, so we'll leave that open to how long it should take the AI to acquire you. One thing I want you to do now is you need to branch. And make sure that attacking enemy is false. And this should result. Well, that is that's even more interesting. I'm guessing that's happening because I'm stopping their movement every frame. So attacking enemy is false, which by default it should be. Run through here, do this. And we set our attacking enemy to true. Now all of this is run through. Oh, but we have a delay here. Is the problem. So, if dead is false, then we're going to want to, let's see, yeah, we'll just set it to set attacking enemy to false, or set attacking enemy to true, and then we'll do our aiming press. Okay. Pre-delay. Huh. They are just trying to shoot through that wall. Or they saw each other over the wall. That is... that's even better. As they try to move and constantly stop. So when you're doing you, check for insight. Can I get for a frame? Because I'm betting they're checking for sight every frame. Oh wow, someone got out. It's checking for sight, checking for sight. You got it. How interesting that he keeps on resetting himself. We have... oh, yes, of course. Possible enemies. Clear. I don't think this is what's causing it, but it's something that needs fixed, so... anything else? So enemies, if the enemy that you're going after is not valid, then set attacking enemy to false. If it's dead is true, set attacking enemy to that. If they're out of sight, go ahead back to that. Sure, in range. However, if they are in range, this is the only loose end here. He really doesn't know what to do. So we can check him. And it looks like he's running through all of this every frame. And I wonder why. Going after flag. Yes, we should also say aiming press, set actor rotation. Should say going after flag is false. We're no longer going after a flag. Flag is true, and attacking enemy is not true. So if this is false, then we're doing this, which needs to be checked to make sure that we're not going after an enemy. If attacking enemy is false, then go ahead. There we go. They're still trying to shoot through walls a little, it looks like. But he stops, takes a shot. You see the AI even relaxing here. How interesting. So it seems they stop and they take their shot, but we need to do that on 0. But on 1, we're going to need to do an AI move too. So when they get in combat, they don't just sit there and do nothing. They will instead find an arrow around them. So get actor rotation. Sorry, no. Get actor location. Returns the location in the world. Break this link and then split the structures. X plus by X and a Y and then a Z can just be plugged straight in. Well, that's not right. The Y. And then the X. An acceptance radius of 50. Min of negative 250. Now we should do that. The self. Actually, I don't even know. I don't even need to do that. It automatically sets it. On fail, we should check to make sure that we are still attacking an enemy. If attacking enemy is true, go ahead and do that. There's many things that can cause our thing, which is every time we shoot, we should be checking that they're not dead. And then on fail, on success as well. In reality, I could run all of that off of this. I am actually going to do that. Makes a lot more sense this way. And this part's going to look a little ugly, and it's going to have to. Oof. Jeez, okay. Yeah. Show me that message log again. Infinite loop detected. Where? Delay. There shouldn't be an infinite loop here. Attacking enemy. False, don't worry about it. We are going to need, of course, this. I'm just noticing right now, it looks like the stream is quite behind. Ooh, yeah, there it is. Bad, bad infinite loop. gets there here. This is it's dead. But you can't be infinite. Where else are we looping at? Looping at here? There's a delay. Okay. There's the infinite loop. Right there. This is being set because it's not valid. We're clearing the possible enemies. And we're setting attacking enemy to false. And now that attacking enemy is that, and going after the flag. Attacking enemy. Attacking enemy is false, then go ahead and go up. And if attacking enemy, attacking enemy is true or false, go up. Okay, we're gonna need to make this a little bit smarter. If going after the flag is true, the attacking enemy is false. Flag is true, so you're gonna wait. And attacking enemy is false, then go ahead. However, if that's false, then we aren't attacking enemy. Okay, so we only want to be able to go up there if attacking an enemy is false. If attacking an enemy is true, then enemy is true, we should do nothing. But it means we also need to do this when an attacking enemy is false. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Okay, how did I used to do this? Going after flag. I did it based off going after flag. Let's see, going after flag. My caps lock is on. Going after flag is unimportant to that. But if going after flag is false, then go there. Or if attacking enemy is true, don't do this. Attacking enemy is false. And then this. Going after flag is true. Then go up here. Attacking enemy is false, then go ahead and do that. If it's true, ignore it. So you can't go into combat until you've already done that. That should work. Still an infinite loop. It's odd how we're getting that. We're clearing the possible enemies. The enemy is no longer in sight. If attacking... Oh, okay, it's right here. Enemy's out of sight. Go do that. Where else is coming back from? Here? Okay, so that's just a hard reset. That's, like, fine. There's so much in between those two. Okay. That's why. Checking their sight lines. Interesting. Why one AI is like floating to the ground and the other one's like fully functioning? As they seem to systematically be killing them. Check for sight. I don't need to see that anymore. And this is gonna be a weird one because of how they interact with that. So let's go ahead and load the Helm's Deep Day version. But of course, our Uruk AI aren't moving. Do you know you're an AI? Yeah? So it's weird why you wouldn't do this. Archer AI, I mean, dead. Dead is false. Their parent tick. I don't believe Archer has anything on tick. Yeah, neither should Master, I believe. Yeah. So, nothing happens there. Run the logic on the server. They are still, like, stopping their movement every frame. Uruk Archer AI, we're just gonna compare them to some of the default values here. To the Archer. The Galadrim Archer, that is. Health is good. Dead. Running. Running store. No react override. You know what it might be? It's gotta be this. Isn't working. Last owned by good. Because that's what I did here. Owned by good, or I did owned by good and then last owned by good. I guess I can do you as the last owned. Let's see what happens. Whether they prefer that Boolean. No, they're still stopping their movement every frame. Let's take a look at that. Pause. That's an interesting little way of living there. Yeah, it's running it every frame. So they go through the flags. Last owned by good, which in this case, last owned by good is false. Owned by good. By good is false is equal to theirs, which is false, which is true. Or if it's neutral, which is also true. and then it can add it. How interesting. They're failing every frame. Whatever they're doing, it's invalid. I'm not sure how they're getting an invalid flag, but I can add in one extra check, which just is valid. Is valid, then we're still good. Is valid. Do that, break the loop, first thing. And then you're running into there, it is fails running into there. I don't know why you're failing. It's a interesting phenomenon that needs to be explored further. But I believe this should call it for the end of the stream. There will be more in the future. I will try and do these as often as I can, hopefully once a week, but it'll probably end up being less as life and other things will get in the way. But I hope this provided a nice little background into what we're doing here, so that those of you who didn't get to be testers can still kind of get an idea for what we're doing and get to have fun with it with us, as we are all doing this because we're passionate about it and expect some good things in the future, such as the Archer Uruk AI and the Archer Uruk getting a proper model and bow and arrow and everything soon. With that being said, I do hope you all enjoyed the stream, and go ahead and have a nice day. Thanks for stopping on by.